Hi. Okay, the first order of business is, does this coat make me look like a grandfather? I don't care. The second order of business is that I have not written in a full week, full calendar week, 7 days. So it's a little unclear to me why that is the case, but it is the case. Apparently I needed a break. Did not know that I needed one. Did not plan for that. Did not fit that into the schedule, but it happened. So I don't throw the word burnout around very often because that is a very real thing that is like diagnosable and like very severe for people. And I don't think I've ever been in burnout ever, but I had this feeling last week where I could feel myself getting a little bit like I just wasn't as creative as I usually feel. I was not writing well. I was just like making myself do it, which is, I think there's a line between discipline. Like, I think that is fine, but there's sometimes where it's just like an instinct where I'm like, I need to step away. But I did not intend to step away for a full week, but I did like cancel on my I just like didn't schedule any live streams for this week, thinking like, oh, maybe what I need is to just write without the camera. That did not go very well. I'd even been feeling like with my live streams, most of the time it's very helpful for me and I get really solid work done and I'm in the flow. But the last week I just had not been, like I was not feeling very creative during that time. So I just decided preemptively to just take a week off of that so that when I come back to it, I can come back fresher. I thought that was just gonna happen with the live streams, but apparently it happened with all the writing. I think I'm also just really intimidated by this part of the book that I'm working on, which I think I've mentioned a few times. I just like could not find the will to do it. That's not what I want to be sitting here saying, but it is the truth. So I need to just get back into it in a lower pressure way. I don't know where this massive amount of pressure is that I'm putting on it, where that's coming from, but sometimes that happens, especially in revision, because revision you can just see so much more clearly everything that's wrong. And so I'm feeling this pressure to fix all of it, but I for the first time in really a while, I don't know how capable I feel of doing the edits. It is more challenging than anything I've really written before. Feels harder and more out of my grasp than other types of stories have been, which is funny because it's not like it's this big deep story, but I talked about it in much more detail in my last video maybe, where I was talking about genre, which I'm not gonna go into that. I'm not gonna go into all of that today. The tone I'm going for, I don't know if I'm there. And that's what feels like out of my grasp right now. Like I am acknowledging that, but I'm gonna push past that because the only way I will get better at it is by doing it wrong and then doing it right, you know? Have I even introduced myself? I'm Melissa, I write books. I'm working on draft 3 of a thriller. But right now I'm really just trying to let go of all of these perceptions of when I needed to be done with things, because I do have a deadline, but it's not like that big of a deal. I would really have liked to be much further than I am right now because I'm swapping manuscripts in a couple of weeks or 1 week. More than that, I would like to be drafting a new book in November, which will require a month of prepping. And I could work on both at the same time, but I don't know if my brain is like big enough for that at this point to be working my full-time job, doing this really challenging revision and also brainstorming and outlining in detail a new book. Like, I don't know if I can do all of that at the same time, but I might end up having to because I don't want to draft. I don't want to do a dictated draft without having a really solid outline in place first. But anyway, this video is kind of getting back into writing after a week off, which is so funny because a year ago, I would go weeks without writing all the time and I still finished books. Like, I still did it. I need to just let go of the idea that I needed to do it all every day or I'm a failure, because that's not true. This afternoon, I'm gonna go to my old neck of the woods where I have something I'm going to this evening that's kind of where I used to live, which is like 20 minutes away from where I live now. So it's not like it's out of town by any means, but it's just like coffee shops I would go to a lot. And so I'm just gonna kind of go into that area of town pretty soon here and then write like at a library or a coffee shop or something. Hi, it's Saturday morning. I wish I would have updated you right after I was at that coffee shop because I feel like I would have had a much more clear mind about it, but it was very good. I think we could call it a breakthrough if we were feeling bold. Also, I know that noise is gonna be there. It's like a literally never ending construction. If you go back 7 years on this channel, which it has not even been around for 7 years, I will be talking about construction in every single one of those videos. So it's just happening out there, okay? It's fine. I really feel like I had a tone breakthrough so much. I actually ended up going back 2 chapters just to kind of look at what was going on there. And I don't know how to describe it. It's like the framing of the book in my mind has shifted, but it's one of those where it doesn't actually really change what happens all that much. It just changes the inner monologue of the character for certain scenes, and it helps frame how they should be going into those scenes. I've said that there's elements of fake dating in this book very vaguely, and I had just kind of put those in without really thinking about it. I plotted it out using Save the Cat, but in that plotting and outlining the structure, it had been like focused on the main conflict of the book, which is all the crime stuff happening and like this romance threaded into it. But what I hadn't done is like looked at the romance as an arc independently completely. I'd looked at it in a lot of different contexts, but not like as its own thing. So I ended up, I don't know, something happened with chapter 10 that felt really good, and I was like, with the marketability, I feel like I'm making no sense, but it really, I needed to make it clear to the audience like how each of these characters is going into this dating situation, and they needed to be more clear and direct about it. But I didn't realize that until I thought about like, when I read a book that's about fake dating, like for example, The Love Hypothesis, Practice Makes Perfect, I recently read. Like when you read those types of books, there's always a point at the beginning where like the main character makes it clear like, this is why I'm fake dating them. This is why I'm not really interested. Like, I'm protecting my heart, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's usually what it is. That's not the case for this book. But I realized that in the internal monologue of the character, they had never like thought about like, okay, I'm going into this and I'm not gonna fall for this person. Like that is so consistent in honestly every romance novel, is them having the moment where they think, oh, this is why I can't love this person. This is why I'm gonna protect my heart and not have feelings for this person. And most of the time it's like, I've been hurt in the past, or like my ex-boyfriend was mean. and bad, you know. I just want to focus on my career. Like, there's lots of different reasons for that in romance novels. In this book, it is like a thriller reason. Like, it's like, I'm not gonna have feelings for her because if I do, this is what will happen. And it's bad. And so like, they just both had to think that on the page. And it just made a lot of things more clear. And then I looked at Romancing the Beat, which is a beat plot structure. That's just essentially like the beats of a romance novel. And I think I had just never really plugged in this romance arc into like the typical beats of a romance novel, because I think I hesitated and like rebelled against doing that because I was like, no, it's not a romance novel. Like, I'm not writing a romance novel, so I don't need to look at romance novel. No, listen, you are writing a romance novel. But it's also a thriller. And the decision of whether it's a romance or a thriller first in my query and in my pitch comes later. Right now, I need to treat both of those as equally important because they are equally important. Even if the romance ends up just being like a subplot or like a really prominent subplot, I would still like it to follow the beats of a romance novel. Like, I would still like it to go through that emotional, like that romantic arc. Because right now it really, like what was feeling wrong about it, I was like, no, I need to amp up the fake dating. Like, I need to amp up the love and like, why do they care about each other? And I was like not considering that the way to do that is by like looking at like common romance novel tropes and beats and like making that fit in, or like structuring the romance in the book or like to an actual plot structure, which is just silly. And so that doesn't mean I'm following every beat in Romancing the Beat. I'm actually like, because I think it would be a subplot at this point. I don't know. In the past, I've been very stressed about genre in like a doom spirally way, and now I'm excited because I had this whole thought about like I could frame it as a romance, frame it and ground it more in the fake dating of it all. Like, I actually think that really centers the book in a way where before it was very like, this is happening and this is happening and we're feeling things and blah, blah. But if there's like this central thing that like grounds the narrative, I don't know, I think that would be really helpful in terms of marketing, but also in terms of like scope, because most books have some sort of like, you know, going into it what the book is going to be about, like what the core of the book is about. So like a fake dating book, you know they're gonna be fake dating each other, right? Or a murder mystery, you know you're gonna be solving the murder. I don't know, fantasy, it gets more complicated, but usually it's like, we have to find this object, or like save the king, like, you know you're gonna be doing something. And with this book, this is how I honestly feel about all my books. We're not solving a murder. We're not solving, are there even murders? There is definitely a plot, but it's not something where like you go into the book knowing like, okay, by the end of this book, I am going to learn this thing. Like, we are going to solve this murder together. Or for example, in the wedding season, we're gonna DJ these 3 weddings and that's what's gonna be happening during the book. Like, there's nothing, wasn't anything like that grounding this. It was very much, these 2 characters are in these bad situations and these things are happening and they're gonna deal with them. But if I feel like grounding it and like, they both have to fake date for this reason, and it actually really centers the conflict of the book. But so then what I ended up doing is taking the beats and like honestly in like 20 minutes, just like mapping in like, where do those scenes that I have fit, and then I figured out like a little scene I want to add in to help with the like that romantic arc, because I was realizing also I was missing like key moments in the romance beat. That's why it felt so weird, is because I had them just like in love, not out of nowhere, but there wasn't a moment where they like decided like themselves that they, or recognized that they were in love. It was very much just, we're kind of hanging out and vibing, and then like something horrible happens and now we're in love. So I needed that to look at that structure to figure out what I was missing, and I feel much better about honestly everything. Having that list of like, okay, here's what the characters are feeling during this scene. Now I feel like I can go into those chapters and be like, okay, does everything in this match how this character should be feeling? And then there's all the other revisions to do, because there's all these other revisions also happening where it's like, change this character's suspicious, this person gets murdered, like there's all of that also happening. But the main tonal thing I'm worried about, was worried about, and currently also always will be forever and ever, amen, is the romance just felt off. And I think I had really rebelled against using Romancing the Beat, or like like playing heavily into romance tropes because I didn't want it to be a romance novel. Why, Alyssa? Why did you not want it to be a romance novel? I don't know. I think it's also like an insecurity I have of like, I don't feel like I can write romance very well. Like, I love to read romance, but let's all be honest with ourselves. I have never been in a relationship. So it's hard to like write romance when you don't have any experience. But then I'm like, have I murdered someone? No. So like, I don't have experience in thrilling. Okay. So let's bring it back together, everyone. Also, like on a marketing side of it, like I didn't want to be marketing it as a romance novel because I don't know why. I just like, well, I know that romantic suspense has its own, like there's a lot going on over there, and I just didn't want to box myself in. You know, like I wanted to be in that thriller category, and I still firmly believe that I am, but it's somewhere in between. And I think that that's okay. Like, I think I could equally market this in a query letter as romance or as a thriller. And I think that those are decisions I need to, I can't be writing the book based on what I'm gonna put in the query letter. Like, I have to write the book first, which I already have twice. Okay, I'm gonna make this romance as good as it can be in this book, and then I'm gonna decide which genre am I putting first in the query letter. Like, I am unconcerned. And also, every other agent website says like, we're looking for genre blending story. Okay, here's a genre. Okay, if you're a literary agent watching this, that was in the least derogatory way possible, I promise. Your websites are just all contradicting each other. That's why I'm so frustrated. But anyway, left that. I was there for writing for 2 hours, and I got through most of chapter 10, I think, which is funny because I was on chapter 12 when I started. It's fine. But I am feeling just really much better. Like, so much more grounded. And it's so funny because I feel like I've literally been doing work like that for the whole summer. Like, that is what I've been doing this whole summer, is figuring out and restructuring and regrounding and scoping. And like, I feel like I've just been doing that all summer. Like, when am I actually gonna put it on the page? But I am putting it on the page. It does change it if I decide later, like, no, it's gonna be primarily a romance fake dating book, then it would change other chapter. But I'm not thinking about that right now. It would just kind of accelerate the book. Because then I was thinking, like, what if he is already in this position at the beginning of the book? Because right now we have him get into this situation in the opening chapters of the book, but I'm like, what if he was already in that, and then we figure out later that he has been in this whole time? But then I'm like, do I want to write a flashback? No, but I could. But also I feel like maybe that's something I could do with my agent, which I don't have. We're just speaking that into the world. Anyway, also I'm gonna have critique partners so they can help me too. Okay, listen. Anyway, that is the update. I feel very good. I do think in retrospect, I think it was good that I took that week, because in the last 2 weeks, I have read like 3 romance novels, and they've all been kind of like, ooh, fun, quirky. One of them was a fake dating, but it wasn't fake dating. It was like, but it followed the beats of fake dating. It was Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. It was like a dating coach. Oh, we're gonna practice dating, which is a similar vibe. I'm feeling good. Okay, I'll see you later, bye. Hey, it's Sunday afternoon. This is my energy. Let's do it. Apparently. Let's start with a just 15-minute sprint. That can't be hard, right? 15 minutes? Why is this so hard? Okay, it's easy. It's easy, it's fun. I love it. That's actually such a slay line. Is that there is a direct correlation between how I'm feeling about my writing and how long the sprints are that I'm working in. Aside from like live sprints and stuff, because those are always a certain amount of time. I have been working in 15-minute sprints. That is how I'm feeling. If I'm like really feeling like, ooh, this writing is great, I am Pulitzer. Like, didn't even win the prize, I became Pulitzer. I'll be writing for an hour at a time without even stopping. No, I've had to set 14-minute timers to like make myself. No, it's going so bad. Okay, it's not going that bad. It's probably going fine. It just, every time I look at it, it's horrible. But I just need to push through it. I need to push through it because I keep, like, these 3 scenes, what's going on in the scenes is that they're like having this date, but it's much more complicated than that because they're both, remember, like they're both fake dating. So this is the point, but they don't know that the other person's fake dating. It's this whole thing. So I need to establish in both of their POVs, like, what their mindset is going into it, but it also needs to be like flirty. Like they're telling themselves that they don't love the person or that they don't have feelings for the person, but then they sort of do, you know, all of that. And then I also am kind of stressed because I feel like this whole section needs to come earlier because I'm already on chapter 10 and this is like, no, they've already had an encounter, but like it feels like this needs to be earlier if the romance is going to become a more prominent part. Like it feels like this needs to start earlier, but I'm not thinking about that right now because I don't actually know for sure. I'm gonna wait for readers to figure that out, but the scenes are just like not hitting because writing romantic banter, I need to be in a certain mood for it to be good, and it's just not good. It's just not good. Like in one paragraph, I'm hitting it too hard, and then the next one, I'm not hitting it hard enough. And then in the next paragraph, they're saying really like kind of cute flirty things, but it's not really true to their character. And then the next paragraph, they're being true to their character, but like they're not flirting well, like they don't have chemistry. But like they do have chemistry, it's just somewhere in the middle. And also I can't flirt to save my life. So like I'm having her do this thing where like she's really rambly. Who would that be? But I don't know if that's really true to her character. Like, and she's like really witty, but I don't know if she is. But she's all, I don't know. So like these 3 scenes, I've been on chapter 10, 11, 12, that section for like 2 weeks. I did not write for a full week, so that really only 1 week. It is not hitting, and I just need to put in what I need to put in and like leave it for later and move on because there's concrete things for the revision that I can just put in and be like, okay, this is in there technically, I can fix it up later and just move on, but I can't. But I will. So that's how it's going. And I have my first writing sprint in a week, live sprints tomorrow morning. And so right now it's like 7:45 and I could do another 15-minute sprint and maybe I'm going to, but 15 minutes is not that long. So I'm like, is it even worth it? But yes, it is. Cause I only did 2 15-minute sprints today and I feel like I got through like almost a whole chapter. So if I just do another 15 minutes, I'll probably get through the chapter, even though it will be bad. Like, it's just not flowing and it's not cohesive and the sentences are not good and the paragraphs aren't good. And the characters aren't good, and the dialogue isn't good. So, really, it's going great. And I keep trying to fix it, and then I go back to the beginning of the chapter, and then it's like everything I fixed is still bad somehow. And then I'm like, am I just bad at writing? Anyway, I need to push through and worry about that later. It's becoming really, really nitpicky, and it might be good, and I just am super self-conscious about it. So I also am worried about the structure of it. Like, I think I'm gonna need to tighten up the beginning, but I'm gonna let people tell me that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna let people read it and see if they feel that that's true. Cause I don't know how I would tighten it. Cause everything that's in is important. Like, I've written books where the beginning was bloated for no reason and I could cut things. Like, that happened with The Wedding Season. Everything is important. I'm sure I could figure out a way to condense it, but everything is important that's in the book, and I think it's important that it's in the order that it is. So that's also just what's It's Monday. I think I'm probably gonna end this vlog soon. I feel like I've been talking for hours and years and generations. But I am currently in Brielle's live stream with Amina, slaying as always.
It's only a dream. Nothing is really what